My mother was working in the store in Feeding Hills, which was the western part of Agawam, and he was working on his father was in charge of highway projects. He was working for his father in Feeding Hills on the roads. He would go into the store and he met my mother. My grandmother's store in the center of Feeding Hills was 3 miles from our house, which was a house that was built by my great-grandfather for my grandmother and my grandfather, and which after her husband died and she had to change her life, her brother-in-law helped her plan a way to go. I'll bet he designed the store with the apartment over it. And she did. She closed the house. She was then living in this new building upstairs. After still being held a few years in her ownership, the original house in North Agawam remained just sitting there. My mother got married. She and my father couldn't afford to buy a house. Eventually, my mother and father bought my mother's house, and that's where I grew up. My mother, she was married in 1921. Yeah, she was born in the end of 99. My mother had a child before my older brother was born, a year before, approximately a year before. It was a stillbirth. It was full term. She lost it, and she had already lost one at partial term before that. So she was very leery. She was good, yeah. There were a lot of things she made that were very good. I loved spaghetti. My father loved the historic desserts like pie, and so she'd make apple pie often and things like that. I always remembered her birthday because in 1916 she turned 16. And that means that in 1930 she turned 30. So you don't have to remember anymore. She was born in October. My father was born in November of the same year, about 3.5 weeks after she was. So his age was easy to remember. As far as I could see, they had a wonderful relationship. Yeah. I've never seen them or heard them fight, and never. Basically, I grew up in my father's footsteps. He was the top. He didn't finish high school. We were an engineering kind of family. Yeah. First of all, he was an electrician who had a very good understanding of the theories behind what he was working on. He learned to repair radios for people in North Agawam. He fixed other appliances, washing machines, refrigerators. He even tried to make a full-time business of it once, and he got a leave of interest from the power company. Started a business and a small shop and a room and back and a display room in front. But the business, it didn't work out, and he went back to the... I'll give you some idea of how young I was when that happened. He came home. I remember just where he was standing, and he was telling my mother that if I don't take my option over there to get my job back, they'll have to nullify the option, and I'll get fired. And I was scared to death, not because he wouldn't have an income, but because they're going to kill him. They're going to set up, have a firing squad. So I really thought that, that. Oh, I must have been 3 or 4. He loved to go hunting. He was a gun collector. He went hunting, and in fact would go where the hunting was good was back to Huntington in Massachusetts. That's where he grew up. I was interested in it, but I gave it up because I wasn't that interested. And I had a couple of guns too, 22 he certainly said things that got me to think I want to become an electrical engineer, a college graduate, in other words. And my father was very good to my mother. Well, one day he got home quite a while after his work shift was over, and she kind of lit into him when he got home. You know, dinner is all cold now, and he said, well, I had to stop and make a purchase, and I'll bring it in. And he brought her out of the car. I don't know how he was carrying it, but it was a beautiful Queen Anne reproduction desk for her. She started crying when she saw it.